Stop everything you're doing right now, because what I'm about to reveal will literally make you run to check every single old coin you've ever seen or inherited. A single silver shilling from King George V's reign in South Africa. A coin smaller than a modern quarter, recently sold for a price so shocking that even seasoned auction house experts had to verify the final bid 3 times before believing it was real. We're talking about enough money to buy a luxury home in cash, and this isn't some medieval treasure or ancient Roman artifact. This is a coin that your grandmother might have used to buy groceries, that could be sitting in an old tin in your attic right now, completely forgotten and utterly priceless. Before I tell you which exact dates and varieties could fund your early retirement, you need to understand that thousands of these coins are still out there, hiding in estate sales, antique shops, and family heirlooms, and most people have absolutely no clue they're handling something worth more than a brand new sports car. The reign of King George III represents one of the most fascinating periods in South African numismatic history, spanning from 1910, when the Union of South Africa was established, through the tumultuous years of World War I, the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, and ending with his death in 1936. These decades saw South Africa transform from a newly unified dominion still finding its identity after the devastating Boer Wars into an increasingly industrialized nation with growing economic and political significance within the British Empire. The coins minted during this quarter century reflect these massive changes, and understanding the historical context helps explain why certain dates and varieties became extraordinarily rare while others were produced in massive quantities. The South African Mint, operating in Pretoria, faced unique challenges during this period, including supply disruptions during World War I, economic upheavals during the Depression, and the practical difficulties of producing currency for a geographically vast country with limited transportation infrastructure in rural areas. The King George V Shilling design itself is a masterpiece of early 20th century coinage artistry that combines imperial symbolism with distinctly South African elements. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of King George V, created by Sir Bertram McKennell, showing the monarch in regal profile, with the Latin inscription surrounding him declaring his titles and authority. This portrait went through subtle modifications during the long reign, with early versions showing slightly different details than later strikings, creating varieties that specialists can identify and that significantly affect value. The reverse displays the South African coat of arms, a complex heraldic design featuring symbols representing the 4 provinces that united to form the Union: Cape Colony, Natal, Transvaal, and Orange. River Colony. Flanking the coat of arms are 2 springbok, South Africa's iconic antelope, representing the wildlife and natural heritage of the nation. Above sits the motto Ex Unitate Viris, meaning from unity, strength, a pointed political statement during a period when the Union remained fragile and contested. The denomination 1 shilling appears at the bottom, with the date completing the reverse design. These shillings were struck in sterling silver, specifically 92.5% silver and 7.5% copper, which gave them intrinsic precious metal value from the moment they were minted. This silver content means that even common dates in worn condition retain significant melt value based on current silver prices, but the numismatic premium for rare dates and high-grade examples multiplies that base value by factors of hundreds or even thousands. The weight specification was 5.66 grams with a diameter of 23.5 millimeters and a reeded edge, precise measurements that remained consistent throughout the series and that provide authentication checkpoints when examining potentially valuable specimens today. Any coin that deviates significantly from these specifications should be viewed with suspicion as potentially counterfeit or altered, though minor variations within tolerance ranges are normal due to plancher preparation variations and die wear during production. What makes certain King George V shillings worth absolutely staggering amounts of money comes down to several critical factors that separate common coins worth perhaps $20 or $30 from rarities that could pay for a luxury automobile or even more. Mintage figures provide the foundation for rarity, with certain years seeing dramatically reduced production due to economic conditions, reduced demand, or mint priorities shifting to other denominations. The key dates in the King George V Shilling series are legendary among collectors, with some years having surviving populations measured in double digits rather than thousands or millions. When you combine low mintage with the attrition that occurs over decades through melting, loss, damage, and wear, certain dates become condition rarities where high-grade examples are almost impossibly scarce. A date that might have originally seen a mintage of 50,000 coins might have fewer than a dozen surviving examples grading mint state 65 or better. And when one of these emerges at auction, collectors with deep pockets engage in bidding wars that push prices into the stratosphere. The 1923 shilling stands out as perhaps the single most famous rarity in the entire King George V South African series, a date that makes collectors' hearts race and that commands prices that seem absolutely insane to anyone unfamiliar with rare coin values. The mintage for this date was extraordinarily low due to economic conditions following World War I and reduced demand for subsidiary silver coinage. Exactly how many were produced remains a subject of debate, with various sources citing figures ranging from a few thousand to perhaps 15,000 pieces. But what matters more than the original mintage is how many survived. Silver coins were frequently melted when precious metal prices rose, and the 1923 shilling's silver content made it a target during periods when bullion values exceeded face value. Conservative estimates suggest that perhaps fewer than 100 examples survive in all grades, and high-grade specimens, those grading mint state 63 or better, might number fewer than 20 pieces worldwide. When an exceptional example appears at auction, international collectors compete fiercely, and the resulting prices reflect the reality that acquiring such a coin represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Another extraordinarily valuable date in the series is the 1931 shilling, minted during the depths of the Great Depression, when economic chaos affected every aspect of society, including currency production. The mintage for this date was severely restricted, and like the 1923, the survival rate has been poor. Coins that circulated during the Depression era often saw heavy use as people had little excess currency to set aside, meaning that uncirculated examples are almost non-existent. The combination of low original production and harsh circulation history creates a scenario where gem-quality examples are virtually unobtainable, and even problem-free circulated specimens command strong premiums. Collectors building date sets of King George V shillings often find that acquiring a nice example of this date represents one of their most difficult and expensive challenges, with some spending years waiting for an acceptable specimen to become available. The 1929 shilling presents yet another formidable rarity that keeps many collectors from completing their sets. Produced during a period when economic uncertainties were already emerging as the world economy moved toward the catastrophic collapse of the early 1930s. Mintage was limited, and the coins that were produced entered circulation immediately to meet commercial demand. Finding high-grade examples challenges even wealthy collectors with unlimited budgets because the coins simply don't exist in meaningful numbers. When a mint state example does appear, the bidding reflects years of pent-up demand from collectors who have been waiting for precisely this opportunity. The prices achieved can be shocking to observers unfamiliar with the dynamics of rare coin markets, where scarcity combined with strong demand creates values that bear no relationship to the coin's face value or even their precious metal content. Even among the more common dates in the King George V Shilling series, condition rarities exist that command substantial premiums. A date that might have seen a mintage of several 100,000 pieces might have only a handful of survivors grading mint state 67 or mint state 68, representing coins that somehow escaped circulation completely and were preserved under ideal conditions for nearly a century. These condition rarities are prized by registry set collectors who compete to own the finest known examples of each date, and the prices they willingly pay for incremental upgrades can seem excessive to outsiders, but reflect the competitive nature of high-end numismatics. A coin grading MS-66 might sell for $500, while an otherwise identical specimen grading MS-67 could bring $5,000, and an MS-68 example might be worth $50,000 or more. This exponential value increase at the highest grade levels reflects the extreme scarcity of true gem quality survivors. Proof coins represent another category of King George IV shillings that command extraordinary prices, specially manufactured pieces struck for inclusion in presentation sets or for distribution to dignitaries and officials. Proofs were produced using specially prepared planchets and polished dies struck multiple times to create mirror-like fields and frosted design elements that immediately distinguish them from circulation strikes. The mintages for proof coins were tiny compared to circulation strikes, often measured in hundreds rather than thousands or millions, and the survival rate has been poor, as many proofs were eventually spent or lost. A proof King George V shilling in gem condition represents a truly elite collectible, combining technical perfection with extreme rarity, and when examples appear at auction, serious collectors compete without regard to price. The visual impact of a gem-proof coin is stunning, with deeply mirrored surfaces reflecting light dramatically, and the frosted design elements creating compelling contrast. Holding such a coin provides an aesthetic experience completely different from even the finest circulation strike. Die varieties add another layer of complexity and value to King George IV shillings, with subtle differences in die characteristics creating distinct varieties that specialists collect, and that can command significant premiums. These varieties might involve differences in portrait details, variations in the coat of arms design, differences in spacing or size of lettering, or the presence of die cracks, clash marks, or other manufacturing characteristics. Identifying die varieties requires careful study under magnification, comparing specimens against reference photos, and consulting specialized literature that documents known varieties. Some varieties are dramatic enough to identify easily, while others require expertise and experience to attribute correctly. The most sought-after varieties can multiply a coin's value several times over the price of a normal example, particularly when the variety is rare and well documented in numismatic references. Authentication of potentially valuable King George IV shillings is absolutely critical given the substantial sums involved and the unfortunate presence of counterfeits and altered coins in the marketplace. Counterfeiters target high-value dates specifically, creating fakes of the key rarities that can deceive even experienced collectors without proper authentication. Professional grading services employ experts who have examined thousands of these coins and who can identify subtle characteristics that distinguish genuine pieces from fakes. The authentication process includes visual examination under high magnification, precise measurement of weight and dimensions, analysis of metal composition through non-destructive spectroscopy when necessary, and comparison against reference collections of known genuine examples. Once authenticated and graded, coins are encapsulated in tamper-evident holders that protect them from handling and environmental damage while providing assurance to future buyers regarding authenticity and grade. The cost of professional grading is minimal compared to the potential value of rare dates, and attempting to sell a valuable ungraded coin significantly reduces the prices collectors will pay due to concerns about authenticity and condition. The market for King George V South African shillings has strengthened considerably over recent decades as awareness of the series' rarities has spread, and as more collectors have entered the market with substantial financial resources. International demand plays a crucial role, with collectors from throughout the British Commonwealth and beyond competing for the best material. The coins appeal to multiple collecting specialties, those focused specifically on South African numismatics, collectors of British Commonwealth coinage, specialists in King George V issues from all territories, and collectors interested in the historical period represented. This broad collecting base creates strong demand that supports robust prices, particularly for genuinely scarce material in attractive condition. Auction results show consistent appreciation over time, with record prices being set regularly as competition intensifies for truly exceptional pieces. Finding these valuable coins requires dedication, knowledge, and often considerable patience. Estate sales represent one potential source, as coins accumulated during the King George V era might still reside in old collections or accumulations. Dealers' stock boxes sometimes yield surprises when knowledgeable buyers spot varieties or high-grade examples that haven't been fully appreciated. Auction lots of mixed Commonwealth silver occasionally include South African shillings mixed with material from other territories, creating opportunities for those who carefully review lot contents. Online marketplaces allow searching for offerings worldwide, though this access cuts both ways. Increased visibility means more competition for scarce material, but it also means that more material becomes available from sellers who might previously have sold only locally. The key is persistence, carefully examining everything you encounter and never assuming that common dates and typical grades are all that exists. Storage and preservation become critical once you acquire valuable coins, as improper handling or storage can damage them and reduce their value substantially. Silver coins are susceptible to toning from environmental exposure, and while some toning is attractive and even desirable, harsh or unattractive toning can negatively impact value. Coins should be stored in inert holders made from materials that won't react chemically with the silver over time. Old-style paper envelopes or cardboard holders contain chemicals that can cause problems, so modern collectors use holders made from mylar or other stable plastics specifically designed for coin storage. Climate control helps prevent environmental damage, with stable temperature and moderate humidity ideal. Handling should be minimized and should always be done by the edges while wearing cotton gloves to prevent skin oils and contaminants from reaching the coin's surface. Never attempt to clean coins using abrasive methods or harsh chemicals, as this invariably causes damage that reduces value drastically. The historical significance of King George IV's shillings extends beyond their numismatic characteristics to encompass the profound political and social changes occurring in South Africa during this period. These coins circulated during the consolidation of the Union, the participation in World War I, which saw South African forces fighting in German Southwest Africa and on other fronts, the post-war adjustments and economic difficulties, the gradual evolution of South African identity distinct from British imperial identity, and the early development of policies that would later crystallize into the apartheid system. Each coin passed through countless hands during these transformative decades, used for everyday transactions even as society underwent fundamental changes. For collectors interested in historical artifacts, these coins provide tangible connections to this pivotal era, physical objects that survived from a world that has vanished. Investment considerations for rare King George V shillings involve weighing their historical appreciation against the practical realities of numismatic markets. The finest examples of key dates have shown strong appreciation over decades, often outperforming traditional investments, but this past performance doesn't guarantee future results. The market lacks the liquidity of securities markets, meaning that selling specific coins requires finding appropriate buyers willing to pay fair values, which may take time. Transaction costs, including dealer commissions, auction fees, and grading expenses, can be substantial. Insurance and secure storage add ongoing costs. Despite these considerations, many sophisticated investors include rare coins in diversified portfolios, viewing them as alternative assets providing diversification and potential appreciation while offering the tangible satisfaction of owning beautiful and historically significant objects. Building a meaningful collection of King George IV shillings requires establishing clear goals and developing expertise through study and experience. Some collectors pursue complete date sets, attempting to acquire every year from 1910 through 1936, accepting the reality that certain key dates will require substantial investment and patience. Others focus on acquiring the finest available examples of selected dates, prioritizing quality over completeness. Type collectors might seek a single representative specimen in attractive grade. Whatever the approach, education is essential. Studying reference works, examining many coins to develop an eye for quality and authentication, participating in collector communities, and learning from experienced specialists. The process of building knowledge often proves as rewarding as the acquisition of coins themselves. Grading standards for these early 20th century silver coins follow established principles but require experience to apply consistently. The numerical scale from 1 to 70 provides a framework, with grades below 60 indicating various degrees of wear from circulation, while grades 60 and above represent uncirculated coins showing no friction from use. Within the mint state range, grades reflect strike quality, surface preservation, luster characteristics, and the presence or absence of marks and imperfections. Reaching the highest grades requires not just lack of wear, but exceptional eye appeal, strong strike, minimal bag marks, and attractive original surfaces. Learning to grade accurately takes time and exposure to many coins, as the differences between adjacent grades can be subtle. Professional graders develop expertise through examining thousands of coins and receive ongoing training to maintain consistency with established standards. The community aspect of collecting King George V Shillings connects enthusiasts worldwide who share passion for this fascinating series. Online forums provide venues for discussing varieties, sharing images, debating attributions, and helping members identify and evaluate their coins. Collector clubs, both those focused specifically on South African numismatics and broader organizations, offer educational programs, publications, and networking opportunities. Major coin shows provide chances to view important collections, meet dealers specializing in this material, and examine coins in person rather than through online images. This community dimension enriches the hobby considerably, transforming what could be a solitary pursuit into an opportunity for friendship and shared learning. Authentication challenges for King George V Shillings involve not just detecting outright counterfeits, but also identifying problem coins that have been altered, cleaned, or artificially enhanced. Harsh cleaning leaves microscopic scratches that destroy original surface characteristics and dramatically reduce value. Chemical treatments can create artificial toning that might initially appear attractive, but that differs from natural toning in ways experts can identify. Coins with damage might be doctored through filling, smoothing, or other treatments that disguise problems. Learning to identify these issues requires experience and often specialized equipment. This is why professional authentication through reputable grading services provides such value, as their experts have seen every type of problem and alteration and can identify issues that might escape less experienced collectors. Regional market variations affect King George V Shilling values, with prices sometimes differing between South African markets and international venues. Coins might be more readily available and thus somewhat less expensive within South Africa itself, while international buyers face greater difficulty sourcing material and may pay premiums. Exchange rate fluctuations add another variable, as the relative value of the South African rand versus other currencies affects real purchasing power. Online markets have partially equalized these geographic price differences, but shipping costs, customs regulations, and practical difficulties of international transactions still create some friction. Understanding these market dynamics helps buyers and sellers optimize transactions. Technology continues transforming how collectors interact with King George V Shillings, with high-resolution imaging allowing detailed examination of coins offered online, population reports from grading services providing transparent rarity data, online auction platforms expanding market access, and social media, creating communities for sharing information and images. These tools particularly benefit collectors focused on scarce material, as they enable efficient searching across multiple markets simultaneously and provide access to comparative data that helps establish fair values. The democratization of information has generally benefited collectors by reducing information asymmetries that previously gave dealers substantial advantages over individual collectors. The emotional appeal of these coins extends beyond their monetary value to encompass their beauty, history, and the stories they represent. Each King George V Shilling survived nearly a century, passing through countless hands, witnessing historical events, and somehow escaping the many hazards that destroyed most of its original companions. Acquiring such a coin connects you to that history, making you the temporary custodian of an object that will hopefully survive for future generations. For many collectors, this sense of historical connection and stewardship provides satisfaction that transcends the coin's financial worth. Market cycles affect King George V shilling values like all collectibles, with periods of strong appreciation alternating with corrections or consolidation phases. Understanding these cycles helps collectors avoid overpaying during market peaks and provides opportunities to acquire material at better values during corrections. Long-term holders who maintain perspective during market fluctuations typically achieve the strongest results, as genuinely rare material in premium condition tends to appreciate substantially over multi-decade holding periods despite shorter-term volatility. Patience and knowledge prove more valuable than attempting to time markets precisely. The future outlook for King George V shillings appears positive based on fundamental factors including fixed and declining populations of surviving coins, growing numbers of affluent collectors entering the market from emerging economies, increasing sophistication of collecting approaches with more emphasis on quality and rarity, and the coin's compelling combination of historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and precious metal content. Whether specific dates or grades will continue appreciating at past rates depends on many unpredictable factors, but the basic scarcity of genuinely rare material provides a solid foundation for long-term value. The key dates in the series, those 1923, 1929, and 1931 shillings, along with certain other scarce years, represent the blue-chip rarities that anchor serious collections and that will likely maintain strong values across market cycles. Collectors pursuing these dates understand that acquisition opportunities arise infrequently and that hesitation often means missing pieces that might not become available again for years. This creates competitive bidding environments when choice examples appear, supporting strong prices that reflect genuine scarcity rather than temporary market enthusiasm. Building a complete date set, including all key rarities, represents a substantial achievement that few collectors accomplish, elevating those who do to elite status within the specialty. If you believe you have King George I of shillings that might be valuable, approach the evaluation process methodically and carefully. Begin by identifying exact dates and examining coins under magnification for any distinctive characteristics, die varieties, or condition factors that might affect value. Document what you have through clear photography from multiple angles. Research recent auction results and dealer offerings for comparable material to establish realistic value expectations. Consider professional grading for coins that might be worth substantial amounts, recognizing that grading costs money but provides authentication and market credibility that facilitates selling at full value. Consult with multiple dealers or experts to get different perspectives, understanding that dealers buying for inventory will offer wholesale prices below retail values. For truly valuable pieces, auction consignment might produce the strongest results by exposing coins to serious collectors willing to pay premium prices. Take your time and gather information before making decisions, as patience generally produces better outcomes than rushing. The story of King George V shillings encompasses far more than dry facts about mintages and specifications. It's about historical transitions, economic upheavals, the evolution of a nation, and the survival of physical artifacts that connect us to that vanished world. These coins witnessed the birth of the Union of South Africa, passed through the hands of soldiers in World War I trenches, provided currency during the Roaring Twenties, survived the Depression's hardships, and emerged into the modern era as collectible treasures. Each one tells a story if we take time to consider its history and context. Now you understand completely why certain King George V shillings could be worth enough money to change your financial situation dramatically. You know which dates to look for, what characteristics create value, why condition matters so critically, and how to approach evaluation and authentication. Most importantly, you realize these coins still exist in old collections, estate accumulations, and forgotten hoards, waiting for knowledgeable people to recognize their significance. Check everything carefully, examine coins under magnification, and never assume something is common or worthless without researching it thoroughly. The difference between financial windfall and missed opportunity often comes down to knowledge and attention to detail. If this information opened your eyes to possibilities you never imagined, and you want to learn about more coins that could be hiding fortunes in plain sight, you absolutely must subscribe to this channel immediately. Hit that like button to help others discover this crucial information, and share this video with anyone who might have old coins they haven't examined carefully. Your subscription and engagement allow us to continue producing content about valuable coins and hidden treasures that could transform your life. Turn on notifications so you never miss new videos that might reveal you're sitting on wealth you never suspected existed. Leave a comment sharing your own experiences with King George V Shillings or other South African coins. Your stories might help others recognize their own valuable pieces. Until next time, keep searching, stay curious, keep learning, and remember that your next major discovery might be closer than you ever imagined, perhaps sitting unrecognized in that old coin collection you inherited, waiting for you to finally see its true value and significance.